Hello and welcome back to BlueTube. On this edition of our podcast, we will be reviewing the game against Shrewsbury in the Football League Trophy. Cracking result. It was 4-0, quite a comfortable win after a bit of an abysmal weekend where we lost to Charlton. So it was a good pick-me-up, well needed. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. I wouldn't say the performance against Charlton was abysmal, but I think by the standards that we'd set before that, it was a poor performance. So going into that game, we needed a response, and yeah, we certainly got it, didn't we?
We certainly did. We scored some fantastic goals, some real, like fans' goals, if you like.
You can't. I mean, I think the Blues social media team put out he doesn't score tap-ins for a Water with his goal, and that was just an absolute rocket. But it wasn't even the best goal of the game. We'll go through them. I imagine you've put some notes together here, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, the first one, it was just a good passing movement, wasn't it? The ball got switched across. I think there was a bit of ping pong, hit the post off Anderson, and Scotty Wright was in there just to
right place, right time.
Right
Scott
place,
Wright.
Right time. But it was just a really good team goal, wasn't it? And it's showing that we'll go through the changes as well because we've had some changes. But it shows that whoever we bring into the team at the moment just steps up, as we keep saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if we go through the changes that we did make, I'll just read them out quickly. So we brought in Leonard came in for Paik, who's on international duty.
Player.
Cracking player. Paik just signed a new 4-year deal with Blues, which is stunning news for me. Ben Davies stepped in for Bielik. The latest on Bielik, I believe, is that ankle injury might be a little bit more serious, but not long-term serious. So I'm hoping he's back in
a few weeks, I've heard.
What Davies was saying. Sanderson, which I do want to talk about, came in for Clara. Clara was on the bench.
Yeah.
He did. He had a great game,
absolutely brilliant.
We'll talk about him in a bit as well. And I do want to discuss Yokohama because I thought he had a great game as well. And I fear that he's been missing out a little bit. And I think there are reasons behind that. But he stepped up for Hansen. And Hansen was on the bench as well. So let's go on to Sanderson, then start at the back. What do you think of his performance the other night?
Well, Sanderson's a really interesting one without speaking about even just his performance, which was excellent. You look at the squad from last year, and obviously it was a dreadful time for everyone involved, I think. And for someone to go from that sort of environment, of course, people, they've got their reservations about Sanderson for things outside of football, and it's neither here nor there. People with his thoughts on, is he captain material, is he not? And we can speak about that, I suppose. But looking at him from a player, he's a solid defender. And I never knew, but seeing him in pre-season games and what he did yesterday, I've got a pass on him. He can ping a ball. Some of the diags that he was playing, and we'll just touching on the second goal now, the way he cut through the lanes of the Shrewsbury back line, through to right, down the wing, and he just plays it through.
Just gave him acres of space.
Yeah.
Scotty Wright saw Iwata coming in, slotted it in, and he nearly broke the net, didn't he? Yep. But going back onto Sanderson, so you mentioned he had trouble last year, which he did, and it was well documented on the pitch as well as off the pitch. But what strength of character has he got to come back as strong as he has? And for me, he still showed captain quality in the game.
Do you think so?
Yeah, just that he has that air about him in the way that he plays. It's like, this is how it's done, lads.
I think for me, I still wouldn't make him captain. I don't believe...
Oh, no, I didn't mean, let's make him captain. But I think Davies wants everyone to be a leader. I think
I think he's got those leadership qualities, but I think because you got to remember these, football players in general, they're still they're young adults, aren't they? And I think he had a lot of pressure on him last year. He was thrown in the deep end with a captaincy, and you can't just all. I think he kind of got scapegoated as a player a lot last year, didn't he? And it certainly didn't help with what was going on off the pitch as well. But like you say, a huge test of character for someone who's gone through the trials of last year to come out this year and to start playing the way that he has.
And linking up with Davies, who, let's face it, he hasn't had much match time with at all, has he?
Yeah.
So I thought they did well. There were a couple of moments where it was a bit airy on the back line. There was that one chance they had, and
That's
between
true.
them and Allsop, there was a bit of a mishap.
Yeah.
But Sanderson mopped that up quite well.
Well, he's also just come back from injury as well.
Yeah.
Let's
give
you've got
him
to
more
give
credit
him a
than
little
it's due
bit.
then,
Yeah, just some rub of the green. But yeah, I'm really impressed, and I'm really happy for him as well. I want Sanderson to do well, of course I do. So seeing him putting in a good performance, I was really, really happy for him.
Excellent. And yeah, just involvement. He got subbed off because he's coming back from injury. I think Clara came on for him in the second half.
Wise decision.
You look at the back line we've got now to choose from. I'm not so worried about Bielik being out when you see players coming through like that. So won't dwell on too much about it because we want to get through all the team, don't we? Obviously. Yeah, there was Leonard in for Paik. Now, if I'm honest, I didn't notice Leonard as much. But that's not a bad thing because he just gets on with the nuts and bolts of the games in midfield,
Very
doesn't
true.
he?
Yeah.
He's there when you need him. He'll play that link-up pass or he'll recover well.
Yeah.
And that's his game pretty
Hot
much,
to
isn't
handle.
it?
Yeah.
I mean, he's good stuff. Last year, was it Northampton we got him from and he was their player of the season?
Yeah.
So promising.
And he's someone who we mainly have on the bench, a player of the year in the league that we're playing in at the moment for a team that we're competing with. Like you say, the depth that we've got in quality, it's brilliant at the moment.
Yeah, we've already mentioned, obviously, Ben Davis was in for Bielik. Steady game. And like I say, he's linking up well with old Sanderson.
I think that was also the first time that they had played together, Ben Davis and Sanderson, wasn't it?
I couldn't think of them playing together. I might be wrong. They may have had a few moments at the end of the game or something, but I think you're right. I think that's
I think it is,
time.
Yeah.
And then lastly, the change, Yokohama coming in for Hansen. And I'm desperate for this guy to be given a bit of match time. And I was glad to see him come on and do so well yesterday. Because you think he's just come into the country. He doesn't speak a word of the lingo. I watched that BCFC TV interview with him and Iwata a couple of weeks ago. Zero English.
Yeah.
So he's a young lad, new country. I think he'd had problems with issues at his house. I think the water was off or something, so he ended up staying at a hotel.
Yeah,
so he's got a lot going on. So
you've just reminded me
to come in and play as well as he has. I mean, he had a couple of shots on goal. The one shot was pushed away and it led to the goal. And he looks really tricky on that left side, doesn't he?
Well, I think you reminded me about the language barrier and the fact that he doesn't speak much English. I think that's huge. That is to play the way that he is and to have the impact that he is on games and the intensity, and he's in a culture that he doesn't recognise, he's not used to at all, and doesn't even speak the language. Because when you're playing football, it's a game that's very much driven by communication by those around you. And if you can't understand what they're saying and the directions that they're giving you, you're not going to fit into that piece of the puzzle. And you don't get that from Yokohama. So I think he could be an absolute powerhouse for us once he gets used to the culture and, as you say, gets used to the lingo, so he can understand that direction. I think he can be a real dynamite player in the future.
I noticed on some of the celebrations where I think on one of Scotty Wright's goals, he'd gone up and he'd sort of jumped onto him, was clinging onto him, and it sort of made me realise the unity and the harmony in the team at the moment. And I think that's massive for the Blues. It's one of the things I'm a bit strange for. I look out for that with how players are interacting on and off the field. And I look at the bench when players go off and how they're received off and things like that. Watch them on the bench for a bit. And I'm seeing all the right things. He seems to have the click just right for me. I mean, it's early in the season yet, but everyone seems to be just like a unit. There doesn't seem to be, not that we'd see it so much, but I know I've seen it in the past. Certainly saw it last season, players going off and they'd be just on their own, or Hogan comes to mind where, a lot of people were defending. Well, not many people were defending, but I know that Harley Dean used to defend him. He was just, that's just how he was. But that can fester in a squad when people are just like that. Whereas I think Chris Davis is very clever. And I think it's one of the reasons why we've got rid of players like Bacuna, for example, because there might just be that air of arrogance about them that can just grow into something a bit mouldy. Whereas what we got at the moment just seems spot on for me.
You've just reminded me as well. Now, this is going later into the game, but when there was a bit of a ruckus and a bit of a brawl that broke out between the two sides. And even, you had even Allsop running from goal, getting involved, trying to break it up, and everyone was there. Sanderson having someone run. Obviously, we don't want, it's not condoning violence or anything silly like that. But I love that. I love teammates getting involved and backing each other up. It's like, no, you're not getting anywhere near him. And that was
Leave
something.
my mate alone.
Exactly. And that, let us know if you agree, Blues fans. We didn't see any of that last year. And I think that was really telling. If you look at the way that we played and where we ended and why we ended up where we were, I think that team unity, that sort of stuff, those sorts of moments, it really speaks to it.
That's where I think, just going back to the Wrexham game where we had a similar thing happen.
Yes.
And the cameras picked up on Tom Brady in the...
he loved it, didn't he?
And he wasn't clapping the fact that they were having a fight. He was clapping the fact that the team was together. They were in unity, in unison.
Yeah, of course.
Looking out for each other. That's what it was about. And that's what we've got.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what we've got. So getting back onto the goals then, we have mentioned that one, but I wanted to mention, was it the second goal? No, the second goal was the Iwata one, wasn't it? Was it Wright's second goal? Those 2-1-2s.
Just unbelievable.
So you've got Alfie May slightly offside. They get a free kick. They take it quick on our right side, just outside the box. May and Wright closing down straight away. Pick it up. Wrighty plays a 1-2 with Alfie May. Another 1-2 into the box with Anderson, who backheels it right into Wright's path, and he just slots it bottom right-hand corner. I thought that was an absolute peach.
Oh, you remembered all of that like that? I couldn't do that. No, fair play to you. It was one of the best goals I've seen this season, and that's even considering a Waters goal for Wrexham as well, which was still a good goal, don't get me wrong, and Jay Stansfield was good as well. But I am just a sucker for seeing a team work together so cleanly. And that's what it was. It was such a clean lead up to the goal, brilliant finish. I was delighted to see that one. It was real good work. And it shows, we've had a few players come in that game against Shrewsbury. It shows how well they're gelling together. And a testament to Chris Davis.
We had other real good chances that we didn't take. Gardner Hickman, who had a good game. If I was going to say there was someone that wasn't quite as polished, and I don't want to be negative Nelly, but there was a couple of wayward passes and Gardner Hickman was at fault with them. But he had that much possession and that he was involved in that much passing movement that there's going to be those occasions. It's like when Paik was always, he's always losing possession. It's because he has that much of it. Get the goals out of the way. Not that we need to get them out of the way, because I could just watch them over and over at the minute, because especially those 2-1-2s. But into the second half, we scored the fourth goal, and that was Hansen, who came on for Yokohama.
That's it, first touch of the ball.
Yokohama, I say it wrong every time. And that was Keller, who'd come on for Iwata, who'd gone off with a bit of a knock. I don't think it's a serious one to his ankle. But and I've said this to you in the last day or so since we watched the game, that Keller is starting to look the part for me. He's gone through the initiation of being played out of position a bit.
Yeah, and he looks uncomfortable.
Left back, played right back, and he's done all right. He's made mistakes as you'd want him to learn from them. But he looked, for me, a little bit like JJ. Looked like he'd had the same train. He'd got that same ability. And he had that JJ type shot along the floor, hit the post. Hansen was there to knock it in. Hansen had been on for about, I think it was 20 seconds.
I hope Hansen said thank you to him
on the commentary. Yeah, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he brought him a Pepsi afterwards. It's Pepsi as well, by the way, not Coke. And it was just and it was nice to see him up the pitch a bit, really, because he seems a bit reluctant to get forward sometimes. But I think he's been told by the looks of it, he's noticeably sort of getting forward a bit more.
The key difference that I noticed in Keller's appearance in that game over other times I've seen him is composure. I've seen so much more composure from Keller than in other games. Don't get me wrong, don't think he's done necessarily bad in other games. I think, as you say, he's been playing out of position, and sometimes, yes, it seems like he's looked a little bit uncomfortable, but I don't necessarily think that he's had bad performances. But it's clear that he's growing into the football.
Yeah, and he's got that natural look, that natural ability about him, that drop of the shoulder, that turn. That,
Yeah.
he has. He's got and he's
Comfortable.
bulked up this year. I watched him in a friendly last season against Peterborough. Down in Peterborough, we travelled down there to see him, and they gave him. I can't remember, who would it have been? Eustace, I think, wasn't it? That
Would have
gave
been
him,
Eustace, I think.
yeah, gave him a match there, and he looked good. I mean, we lost the bloody game, didn't we? But he looked good. And he played him in the middle of the park. I think he only came on, but then we were noticing the difference. Yeah, it was like a few people started saying, "Oh, who's this Keller kid? Academy," and he's really put a bit of like frame on him now. So I think he's one for the future. I hope we keep hold of him. So
Definitely.
one to watch out for, Brandon Keller.
It's always good seeing players from the youth academy come through as well.
Talking about players coming through, often get missed out, don't they, these kids? Williams, was it Josh Williams that came on, left back?
He's got some pace on him.
Yeah.
That sprint down the wing.
It's like I've been saying, this unit, pick anyone and they just slot in. And it was just like he'd been playing there for like months and months. He's just bringing him in, giving him a taste because it was safe to do so. Passing the ball around nicely, just like been there for years.
Still need a bit of warming up, I felt, but it's good to get the minutes into the lads as well because they need it. Get them that match day experience, and once again, it'll be good to see how Williams progresses.
And we could not mention Duke. To see Duke coming on, the fans were singing "Feed the Duke," and he will score.
I was
and to be
desperate
fair,
to see him score.
when he came on, admittedly, in the past, you think, "Oh, we're going to lump it up now." There was no need for that. We were still playing get round the back, cross it in type stuff.
Yeah.
And he was close to getting on the end of some of them. He got on the end of. I think we were a bit harsh done by with the referee because he's a tough player, isn't he, Duke? If you're going to defend against him, expect to be poleaxed.
Yeah.
So every time he went up, he seemed to get a free kick against. But
well, I like how Duke is just. He's a fan favourite for a reason, and he's still so involved in the club. Obviously, naturally, with the position in his career that he is now, he's going to be quite far down the pecking order. That's just natural, and the attacking forces we've got at our disposal, that's just going to happen. But seeing how involved he is still with the club, and obviously I heard that he was on Blues TV, the commentary the other week.
Yeah.
We were at the game, and I love that. I love how still.
We'll have him if you want to come and say a few words, Jim. Come and sit in our garden studio here that we've done.
Yeah.
But I wanted to. You mentioned fans. I know everyone will be saying this, but I was absolutely chuffed with our fans. The attendance at Shrewsbury the other night, 4,847 altogether there. Which horrible cold autumn night at Crowd Meadow. How many do you reckon were Blues fans?
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah.
So 4,847 altogether, 3,159. Well done, Blues. You're absolutely killing it this year.
I mean, for
the away games,
and the fans always bring it. You treat the fans. The product on the pitch is something that they desire, and they'll pay it back in quality support. And that's just a testament to that. But I tell you what, I feel almost sorry for Shrewsbury. I've never known a home game to be outdone by away support.
No, I've not known it. I dare say it's happened. But
I'm sure it has, but that's the first time I've heard of it.
I mean, there's not many teams out there to support, so mind you, there's not many people out there. I suppose that's probably as much as they get. I don't know, but no, I mean they're not a million miles from us, so you want them to kick on and do just not as well as Blues. Referee, how do you think he did? I thought he started really well. I thought he was letting the game flow.
After that rough and tumble, he just went on a bit. Even the fans were getting up there, because he was just going around.
I think he thought it was everyone's birthday, didn't he? He was just wanted to give a card out to everyone. Yeah. Home or away, the possession tends to be about the same, but the possession was a little bit better than average. 72% possession for Blues. We had 668 passes with a pass accuracy of 88%. 11 fouls either team. I don't think there was 11 fouls. I think it just got a bit that way, didn't it? We had 5 yellow cards. Shrewsbury had 4. No red cards, luckily. 3 offside Blues, 5 for them, of which one of them was the goal, which I thought they were a bit hard done by.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually. Yeah, I thought genuinely there were some moments of complacency from the performance. I mean, that goal, I think it was a bit
I've
harsh. I
seen
think
them
he could have
given.
stood.
It was literally good shot came in, beat the keeper easy. The keeper saw it. Keeper went for it, but there was just a guy that was. You could argue that he was in the view of the keeper, so I can see why it's not been given. And there weren't enough fans there to complain about it, really. Well, let's face it. Getting back onto this, just to finish off there, we had 6 corners, which it felt like we had more than that, and they had 1. 16 shots on goal. They had 10. I don't remember them having 10 shots.
They had their few moments, to be fair to
maybe
them.
they class like goal kicks from their keeper as a shot on target or something. I don't know. 8 of our shots were on target. So yeah, it started to see the pattern.
Well,
with
we're
all
getting
these
an
stats for the
identity
Blues,
now. You
aren't
look at the possession, you look at the amount of passes, you look at the accuracy of the passes. Just a few more shots on target and shots on goal, and taking these key chances.
Have you mentioned the identity? Because that's exactly what Chris Davis wants out of the team.
Yeah.
Did you see that? He mentioned it on his post-match interview. He said he wants Blues to have a playing identity, and it's happening, isn't it?
And the key word from Scott Wright in his interview was relentless.
Yeah.
The team being relentless. No matter how many goals we've scored, we're still pushing on for more, which is
Yes.
something that I feel has been missing from Blues for a long time. We'll go ahead, and so many of the times you'd see us go ahead in the game, especially last season and seasons
Then
prior,
shut the shop.
and we'd shut the shop, and then we'll concede inevitably, and in some cases go on to lose the game as well. So to hear that,
Eustace days, wasn't it? I know there's been lots, but more recently, we didn't know how to keep hold of like a 1-0. We go on 1-1 or even lose 2-1. But yeah, so do you want to wrap up this one? Are you happy?
I think so. Well, let us know if you are happy, Blues fans, with that performance against Shrewsbury Town in the Cup. And that's all from us today. Of course, we've got the international break now, so it's going to be a little bit of time until Blues are back on the grass again. But during that time, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think of these videos. And if there's anything else that you'd like to see from us, please do be sure to let us know. Until next time, Blue Noses, see you later.